Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of our NASCAR My Driver Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we have two Xfinity races coming our way here from Homestead Miami Speedway as well as Martinsville Speedway, fresh off of our season debut in Daytona where it did not go well. We didn't get stage points. We crashed on the final lap coming to the finish and we finished outside of the top 20. So not a lot to build off from Daytona, but we come through into now Homestead Miami, and well, there wasn't much hype coming into this race either because this is arguably one of my worst tracks on the schedule, and it's definitely worst, probably mile and a half on the schedule. We struggled a lot here in the Truck Series in the first chapters, so we'll see what happens here today. Martinsville, on the other hand, when we go to that one in the next race, I'm pretty confident with that one. We won there in the Truck Series, and we usually have a lot of speed when it comes to Martinsville, but we qualified outside of the top 10. You saw my first lap of qualifying there. That ended up being my fastest lap as we would get underway for this race, but we qualified down in the 16th position. We had a lot of work to do. Michael Cozier Jr. was on pole in that 99 car. His car unfortunately refused to load for this race, so you're just going to be looking at that red and white base car. Jake Cook there, our colleague, teammate, and fellow rookie of ours in second place here as we exit turn 2, going down this back straightaway. Immediately, I'm just trying to strategize for this race because I know that I am at a disadvantage here in terms of I suck at mile and a half racing. It's a straight up talent issue when it comes to mile and a half, so I definitely need to work on that before we get to the Cup Series, because there's going to be a fair share of mile and a halves in the Cup Series that will make a difference, of course, over this season. So we definitely have to figure these tracks out as quick as we can, but it wasn't looking very good here coming into this race. 55 laps, by the way, here. Stage 1 and 2, both 10 laps apiece, and then we race it to the end, of course, to the end of the 55th lap here now. So stage 2 will come to a close at the end of about lap 22-23 area. You can see, unfortunately, I wasn't going forward. I got passed by the 31 of Sage Karam. I had Riley Herbst behind myself here, but I wasn't really done fighting. I wasn't going to make it too easy here on the 31, so I'm actually going to cross him over down into turn 3. He goes to the top after going to the bottom. Well, this time I go to the bottom, and we would actually complete the pass back and take the spot back briefly, but we struggled and struggled and struggled here in stage 1. We come through to the final couple of laps already, and here came Ryan Vargas up my inside. Now on the exit of turn 4, a little bit sideways there, we nearly made some contact as I was trying to save the car, but Vargas would get up in front of myself here in these closing moments. But by the time we came through to the final lap of stage 1, we actually would be able to fight back to the outside of Vargas as we would start this final lap here in this first and opening stage. Michael Cozier Jr. continuing to lead the way by about a second over Sam Mayer, Jay Cook third, Ty Gibbs fourth, and Sheldon Creed currently your top 5 as we come through the center of 1 and 2. We get a good run on the exit of the corner. We're not even battling for stage points here now as Cozy leads the way down into turn 3 and 4 for the final time here in stage 1. A very comfortable gap he has over second place, and Michael Cozier Jr., who won stage 1 in Daytona in the last episode, is going to come through and win stage 1 here in the second race of the season in Homestead Miami as Mayer, Cook, Gibbs, Creed round out the top 5, and look at all the just raw young talent we have in this top 10, and these are drivers we're going to be fighting against all season long and all the way into our Cup Series career. So we would come into the pit lane here, put 4 tires on the car. Everybody would pit thankfully here now, and we actually gained a ton of track position here. We were P16 I think at the end of the stage, or 15th, and we would be about P6 as we were getting ready to go green for stage 2. That's how much ground we gained. You can see actually Santino Ferrucci did stay out, so that was a very bold call from him, but nonetheless we would get underway here for the start of stage 2. You see the sun starting to set a little bit here in Miami now as we are on row number 3. Our pit crew has been incredible so far here as we dive down into turn 1, and I get aggressive here. I go around the outside 3 wide with Gibbs and Cook, and we're going to do the same to Cozy and Sam Mayer, and we go from P6 down the back straightaway. Now we're going to be fighting for second place here in this 3 wide battle, and we get clear of both Mayer and Cozy, and well, Ferrucci, he's on quite old tires as we go down into turn 3, so it really shouldn't be much of a contest against him here. But I got a little bit loose on the exit of turn 4, but it was okay because we still had a really good run, and we get clear, and we're going to lead the first and opening lap of the second stage here now. So a really good start to this second stage, but can we hold on? And I can confirm, well, I didn't hold on for very long. Jay Cook would be up my inside here before we knew it into turn 3 and out of turn 4, so we're side by side coming through to the line there. My colleague teammate, we're fighting for the open spot at iRacing in the Cup Series next season. So both of us want to impress as much as we can, and unfortunately so far here today, it's going to be Jake Cook impressing the most. Not only are we fighting, of course, for a championship, we're fighting for that open spot at iRacing in the Cup Series next season, but unfortunately, I continue to fall down the order, and I was definitely backing my pace down. It wasn't like I was just slow. I was trying to save my tires as much as I could, but maybe I was saving them a little bit too much because I didn't know if the AI were going to pit at the end of this stage or not, so I didn't want to take any risks, of course, pushing the car. So we continue on our way, and at least in stage points, but actually clipped the wall on the exit of turn 4 right there, and by the time we came through to start the final lap of stage 2, we had our other colleague teammate of AJ Allmendinger up my inside down into turn 1. As you guys know, colleague this season is myself, Jake Cook, Landon Castle in the 4 car, and AJ Allmendinger in the 16. As we exit turn 2 down this backstretch, we're fighting for 9th and 10th place. We are down this backstretch, and we do get the run. We get clear of Allmendinger, but it's Jake Cook for colleague, our teammate, winning stage 2, his first playoff point in stage 1, or not playoff point actually, because we don't even have playoffs, but we barely beat Allmendinger to the line, and sure enough, we get P9 here in this second stage. To my surprise, everybody would actually come into the pit lane here, so we would throw 4 tires on the car once again, but I had to make some repairs after getting into that wall early in stage 2, so we would actually lose some track position, unfortunately, and the sun pretty well set now at this point as we get underway for the start of stage 3. 26 laps of racing to go. Jake Cook out in front as he leads the way down into turn 1, now looking for his first NASCAR win in general. He went winless in the Truck Series, by the way. Didn't even make the Truck Series playoffs. Still got a ride here in colleague in the Xfinity Series, and he might be proving his worth because he could be looking at his first NASCAR win here today. I myself had kind of accepted the fact that I wasn't going to, of course, be in a position to win this race, and I was already putting my focus on Martinsville at this point, but nonetheless, we're still going to try to do the best we can with the resources that we have here behind Ryan Vargas in that 6 car on the exit of turn 4 down this front straightaway, completing this first and opening lap of this third and final stage. We find ourselves 3 wide down into turn 1, but like I said, just trying to keep this thing in one piece at this point and just bring it home and see if we can learn something. That's kind of my mentality, I think, at the mile and a half this season for the Xfinity Series. Let's just see if we can learn something here and try to save my right front tire there. I kind of thread the needle right there between Vargas and the wall, and we would gain a spot over him and get alongside Santino Ferrucci as well as we went down into turn 1. But my right front tire is the main thing that we're trying to work on saving throughout the course of the season. But we can't use the mile and a half as too much of a learning tool, because we do need to make sure we're getting good results, because we got no playoffs to rely on being able to maybe have a couple of races that go wrong, because a couple of races that go wrong can play a huge role at the end of the 16 race season. And unfortunately, we already had a bad race at Daytona, and here we are, 2 races in a row to start the season, having another bad race at Homestead, Miami, and it would get a little bit worse because on the exit of turn 4 here, just over 10 laps ago, again, the outside wall, pretty hard right there. You can see on the right front a little bit of damage there, and that would allow Brandon Brown to go up the inside into turn 1 now, and I really didn't have anything to fight against him with. He would get clear and drive away, and at this point, after I hit that wall, it was just downhill after that, because I would just continue to fall down the order. That right front tire was absolutely destroyed, and that was kind of really confidence destroying, because I felt like I spent the first half of stage 3 not pushing whatsoever, saving my tire, and it did us absolutely no favors whatsoever in the long run. So at this point in time, we're just closing in on these final moments of this race. We fall down to 17th, 18th, 19th, and we just are bringing it home at this point. Unfortunately, we would lose even more positions, and by the time we came through to start the final lap, we were down to 21st behind fellow Canadian of Alex Labay here now, after a very disappointing second race to start the season here in the Xfinity Series. But it's going to be our colleague racing teammate of Jay Cook there in that Taco Bell number 11 Camaro, who's going to get his first ever NASCAR win here in Homestead Miami Speedway. Cindric 2nd place, Cozy 3rd, Creed 4th, and Sam Mayer rounds out the top 5 there. As you see the rest of the field coming through to cross the line, including myself here behind Alex Labay, just in front of the 47 of Kyle Weatherman here for a very, very disappointing 21st place finish here in Homestead Miami Speedway. Sorry guys, we gotta head back to the drawing board for these mile and a halves. There you hear myself on the radio to the team after a very disappointing run there. Now, as you see the finishing order on your screen. So there were Truck Series and Cup Series races a part of this episode, but I'm really stupid and recorded them all with the ending screen showing in my Streamlabs from my streams. So you didn't actually get to see any of the racing footage. So that was my bad. So you won't actually see any of those in this episode, but you will see them continue in the next episode. Now, unfortunately, that was a big dumb moment from myself. But so that brings us now into Martinsville Speedway, where we qualified front row. We started P2 for this race here in Martinsville for 65 laps around the paperclip here. Now, as you would get underway, and I was caught off guard right off the bat because Austin Cindric goes green in the middle of 3 and 4, and we are already down to third place here as we dive down towards turn 1. So a bit of an awkward moment there for myself, but this was the race I circled on the just calendar in general, not for this episode, but just the whole schedule, because we won here in Martinsville in the Truck Series. This is one of my favorite tracks to drive in NASCAR, and I was pretty confident here now, especially with my success on just like every other game with Martinsville Speedway. I was confident we could back that up again here in the Xfinity Series, and I was anticipating to be competing for the win of this race here. Even considering how bad Daytona went, how bad Homestead Miami went, I was still confident we were going to be competing for the race victory here today at the end of this thing. Now, I was actually lost a little bit of ground right there to the number 1 of Josh Berry, as well as the 54 of Ty Gibbs, but we would fight back up the inside of Ty Gibbs here on lap 5, and we would get past him and get clear, so we would get right to the back of Josh Berry. Already in these closing laps here of stage 1, we would look up the inside of Berry down into turn 1, and easy moves so far here on Gibbs and Josh Berry as well. We're going to easily be able to get clear of Berry down the back straightaway. So now we came through towards the end of this first and opening stage here in Martinsville, approaching this final lap here now at this point as we came through to turn 4. You can see I couldn't quite get close to Allmendinger or the leader of Cindric. This was basically as close as I could get, and I was pushing actually pretty hard, so I was a little bit concerned by that. But now on lap 15, the final lap here of stage 1 underway, Austin Cindric leads the way. Now, winning stages of course still gets you 10 points, but it doesn't get you that prized playoff points, so those no longer of course come into effect. So stage wins don't mean as much, but it still does mean 10 extra points, which could be a huge roll at the end of the season as we cross the line in P3 here in stage 1 now, as you see the rest of the top 10 coming through to cross the line. So a very strong start so far for us here in Martinsville, and this time we would be fortunate to be lining up on the inside in row number 2 behind the leader of Austin Cindric, so should go way better than restarting on the outside where our teammate of AJ Allmendinger is. As now you see Cindric just lights it up. He is gone already here as we exit turn 4, and now it is time to get amped. There you have the amp segment here from Martinsville Speedway, right on the back bumper of Austin Cindric. A few cars that were coming out of the pit lane right there for some odd reason. Not sure exactly what led to those events right there here. And now as you got the 15 car directly in the way of everybody, but he is so off the pace that even with fresh tires, we still blow his doors off. So we got right to the back of Austin Cindric here now, and we would have an opportunity to make a dive up the inside here into turn 1 on lap 27 and take the lead. And sure enough, we will take the lead from Austin Cindric. I run him up the track a little bit. We get clear on the exit at turn 2, and even better, we're going to put David Starr lap down in the process here as we dive down into turn 3. So we would take the lead and just try our best to run away at this point here in these closing moments now of this second stage here now as we came through down leading into turn 1 and 2. You look in the rearview mirror and you got Austin Cindric, you got AJ Allmendinger. They're staying within a relatively close distance to where if I make a mistake, they're going to be able to pounce on it. But nonetheless, on this final lap of stage 2, we lead the way out of turn 4, and we are going to pick up an extra 10 points and win the second stage here from Martinsville Speedway. Gibbs and Mayer round out your top 5. You see Cozy there inside the top 10 as well. But very happy with how this race has gone so far, but there was still one final stage to get through, and I had control of the stage, so I tried to keep it a fair restart for everybody, unlike what Austin and Cindric had been doing. And we get back underway here, leading the way into turn 1. Cindric has the edge actually down into turn 1. He dives way down deeper into the corner than I did, but we get a way better center of the corner and a very even exit with Cindric as we go down into turn 3 side by side. But look how wide that 22 goes right there. He goes way up the track, and Allmendinger right to my back bumper, but we get clear, we get that throttle down, we get away and actually clip the outside wall on the exit of turn 4 right there. So we are in front, in command at this point, only a little over 20 laps to go, so not a lot of racing left, and we just have to hold on. And by the time it came to 21 to go, we opened up a very, very comfortable gap actually here to the cars behind us, and Cindric had fallen down a little bit. It was actually Sam Mayer now in second place in these closing laps of this race. Now to 15 laps to go, we're closing in on some lap traffic at this point now, but Mayer was 2 seconds behind myself at this point here, so it's just about not making mistakes pretty much here now in these closing laps. But unfortunately, well, I made a mistake right here. I nearly completely KO the car into the outside wall in turn 3 and 4. We barely keep it off the wall by centimeters, and fortunately we keep going in the right direction, but after this I backed it down a little bit and made sure we can just bring it home here. So Mayer, Allmendinger, they started to run me down a little bit here, but I was pretty well comfortable with that because I knew I still had some extra pace in the car if I really needed to use it. So it was just about nursing this thing home. We come through to 2 laps to go, approaching the final lap in Martinsville Speedway at the Paperclip. It's been a terrible start to this season. We crashed on the final lap in Daytona. We were just miserably slow with our tires being so worn out in Homestead, Miami. We couldn't finish in the top 20 in either of the first 2 races, and then we turn it completely around here in Martinsville, qualify second, run in the top 5 all race, take the lead, and now we come through out of turn 4. We are going to win here in Martinsville Speedway in the 3rd race of this season, and no playoffs, so that doesn't lock us into anything, but it definitely, of course, gives us a nice boost forward here into the point standings now as you get to do our burnout. And there was still actually oncoming traffic here when I was doing my burnout, but now the lights come on here in Martinsville just as the race comes to a conclusion. But overall, a very, very strong race here in Martinsville, and this is the one, like I said, I circled this race on the calendar. I said we can absolutely win this race, and sure enough, we backed that statement up. Nonetheless, though, that actually wraps it up for this second episode of Chapter 2. In the next one, we start things off with Richmond Raceway. I can't remember what other race is in that, but the subscriber series actually is going to start in about 2 more episodes' time, so stay tuned on that. We should have Trucks and Cup Series races to show if I don't be stupid and mess up my recording there with Streamlabs. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I appreciate you guys sticking around to watch this episode and hope you're really enjoying it. But nonetheless, I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.